Well, Michaela, welcome to the show. And thank you so much for taking some time to be here today because you're very busy and you are overseas right now. So first tell us where you are and what you've been up to.
Yeah, of course. First off, thank you so much for having me. And I'm currently in Spain. I'm playing for Maria's Avenida in Salamanca, Spain, to be more specific. We competed in EuroLeague this season, and we made it to the semifinals. And we're just currently finishing up our Spanish season. And so right now we are in the semifinals. We win this, obviously, and then we go to the championship round.
That's amazing. And you're about to head into your third season with the W and playing overseas. Talk to me about the differences between playing in Spain and playing in the States.
Yeah, it's really different, honestly. To be completely honest, my first year I was in Spain as well with a different team, and I actually did not like it at all. Honestly, like you couldn't pay me to come back overseas, but I think, I had a good insight and just good supporters around me that who really encouraged me, like, what, just give it another try, give it another shot. I think it'll be really good for your development as a basketball player. And so I'm really glad that I took that advice. And so I've been having just such a much better year just experience wise, getting to know the culture and my teammates. It's just been overall just a better year for me. But as far as the differences, just getting used to a new culture. Obviously Spanish is the predominant language here, and so the last time I took Spanish was probably early years of college, and so just trying to piece things together. My teammates do a good job of just helping me in that sense. But I think just the basketball on the court as well is very different.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish League specifically, I think or players are a little bit smaller or more undersized, and so how that kind of fits into my hands. I played primarily the forward position, and so I'm able to do really well in that position, which I really like. Which I really like about Spain. Everybody's super versatile. There's big guards, there's undersized post players, and so I think the level of basketball is very high paced, very fast paced. And I think that can differ from team to team, obviously in
Mm-hmm.
the WNBA, but I feel like Spanish basketball as a whole, super competitive from 1 to 14. A lot of teams in our league that, have done really well this year as well. And so I've seen the Spanish basketball just kind of go up and up and up. And I'm sure they've been doing well, even before I got here. But it's been cool to see just how I've been able to, be in this system.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of different differences, obviously. Like there's no 3 second call, defensive 3 seconds in Spain, which is different than WNBA, where my rookie year I had to come in and I was always getting 3 second calls. That's not a thing here. The way fouls are called is very different here. The way travels are called is very different here as well. So as an American, you kind of just have to get used to things, but
Mm-hmm.
as the season goes on, it's really easy to just experience it and get used to it.
I love that the experiences were different and you were able to kind of find the good and find the positive and take something from your experience over there as you prepare to come back for your third W season. What are you most looking forward to and what are you going to bring from the Spain experience with you?
Yeah, I'm most looking forward to this. Is obviously, as people do know now, I was traded to the Phoenix Mercury, and I think that's very different for me. Obviously, being drafted to New York, you think you're going to be in the place you're drafted for a very long time, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really excited for the opportunity in Phoenix. I just watched Brittney Griner's press conference today. Literally just right before this, and just to see how excited she is to be back in the States. It makes me excited to play with her, and then obviously having somebody like Diana Taurasi who I've been watching since I was a kid. Really, it's really surreal. And so, what I want to bring to Phoenix is really just my versatility in any way. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's something that I can add to that roster right now, which I think has a lot of opportunity to really really grow. And there's a lot of opportunity for players to really come in and make an impact kind of right away. So that's what I'm really excited about, just my versatility, being able to defend, multiple defenders at once, and then just getting really, really ready into the culture of what
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix is. I know I've played against Phoenix, and I've been in those atmospheres where it is so loud that it's like you can't hear anything; it's deafening. And so to be
Mm-hmm.
on the other side of that, to have the fans really, ride behind us, that's something I'm really excited about as well.
I mean, you mentioned BG there and you mentioned Diana Taurasi. Those are two greats. I mean, there's so many others too on the team. We're, you know, growing up, you have the W to look up to it. And so when you look and reflect now and know that you are playing on a team with Diana Taurasi and you're playing on a team with Brittney Griner, when you have a second to like sit back and think about this and recognize your accomplishments, what's that like for you?
Yeah, it's really so crazy. And like you said, I was part of the generation where I was able to see the WNBA be a thing. And so my first earliest memory of the WNBA is my AU team. We had a tournament in Chicago, and my coaches actually let us go to the Chicago Sky game. I forget who they were playing against, but that was the time where Elena Deladon was there, and she became my favorite player. And so it's just cool to it's like when your dreams become a reality. And it's like I literally watch these people on TV, and now like I'm able to call somebody like Diana Taurasi my teammate. That doesn't even sound real. It's like she texted me like welcoming me to the team, and I was like, "This is Diana Taurasi. Like this is crazy. This is weird, And so it's
like, can I
so
save
cool.
her number?
Yeah, I was like, I know, I saved it quick. I was like, let me make sure I save this one quickly. But it's just so surreal, like you said. It's something that like you can only dream of, and I'm just trying to relish in the moment right now, and live in the present. And obviously being traded was hard. Not even gonna lie, it was very hard because I love New York, but just the new opportunities and the doors that God has opened for me. I'm just looking to walk into that with a very open mindset. And so you can't ask for anything more than to play with a legend. And so to be able to do that so early in my career, that's just really, really cool for me. And so I'm really excited to head to Phoenix.
Absolutely. And I know we talk about you playing with these greats, but I also want to give you your flowers here. Rookie of the year, your first season, coming in, making an impact. I love how you like remember and write about how you stepped in and like first seconds of the game, just like throw up a three and are like, what am I doing?
Why would I do that?
It worked. You set the tone there, Michaela. You set the tone from the first like minute that you were playing. So when, you talked about growing up and watching the W, when did you know that this was your dream and you started, did it shift it basketball from being kind of a passion in what you love doing to I have now a goal that I want to accomplish, and I'm going to chase that?
This is a really good question because there was actually a Twitter campaign that I was a part of, and it was like the something dream campaign. And I had tweeted something in 2013, and I was about 13 at the time. It was like one day, like I want to be in the WNBA. And I feel like at that time, as a basketball player, that just is the goal for young girls. Like, oh, I want to go to the WNBA. But I don't think I really in my head really believed that. I was kind of like, okay, like, if I continue this basketball thing, I could see myself going to the WNBA. But I think it really came to fruition for me probably when I was like a junior, maybe in high school, is when I was like, okay, I can really be good at this game and go to college. I can get my education paid for, and I can really do big things at UCLA. And then probably like my sophomore year of college is when I was like, okay, like this is when I know I want to be a pro. It's like, I'm developing my game. It's becoming easier. The game is slowing down for me. Plays are being ran through me and things like that of that nature. And so I was like, okay, I can see myself, getting into the WNBA. And at that point, I see my friends being drafted, and I'm getting excited because I'm like, okay, this could really be me next. And so obviously, I couldn't have sat here and said, oh, I dreamt of Rookie of the Year and everything else, but I definitely saw myself being in the WNBA probably around my sophomore year, and I'm just really grateful that it was able to come true and come to fruition.
I also want to bring up your family because I know that your family has been a huge support for you. So talk about how they have supported you and inspired you to be where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my family has been my first support system, my backbone in that sense, where it's like, my parents played sports. My dad was in the Olympics for track. My mom did various sports in high school. Like I come from a pretty sport heavy family. And I feel like that has definitely influenced just the way in which they support me, where it's like, we don't really care, if you do good, bad, or whatever, win, lose, or draw, like we are going to support you in every single way. And, I'm really competitive. So it's like, no, like I want to win. So I take losses very, very hard. But I just remember even when I was young and when I was first starting, I took losses really, really, really hard. And my mom would be like, it's okay. Like, you know what? Like we still love you. We still are going to support you. And, even like 8, 9 years later, my mom is still the exact same way. And so it's just been really cool to have that kind of support system, from my dad to my mom to my grandma, my uncles, my brothers, it's like feels like they're my biggest fans. And that's something I know that will never waver, regardless of, where I'm at, where I'm playing, how well I do, if I have a bad game or whatever it may be. I know I'm always going to be able to rely on those text messages, those feelings of support, them showing up, when New York is, 4-hour flight from my hometown, like I know they're going to definitely show up. And so that is not something that is, doesn't go unnoticed for me. And they know how much it means to me. But yeah, they're definitely just my support system all around.
I love that. And you're also Nigerian American, which I know you're proud of. So talk to me about how the Nigerian roots really helped kind of shape some of the values and lessons growing up that you have taken with you to succeed on the court, but also just to be a really awesome human.
Thank you. I think my Nigerian culture has definitely shaped me like 100%. I mean, even just growing up, even when you don't know it, I feel when you get to this point when you're older, you're like, yeah, like my mom and my dad are the reason why I am the way I am today. And so part of just like African, but also Nigerian ideologies is we want to be the best in everything. Like we do. And that's just striving to be great, striving to be your best self. And I feel like whether that's in school, whether that's in sports, I always feel like I was held to that standard. Obviously, like I said, they were very supportive, but I knew from the jump that I was going to have to be great in everything. I didn't take my school not serious. I took that very seriously. I took basketball just as serious. It was never like, oh, I'm going to take basketball a little bit more seriously than school. Like that was not going to cut it. And I think, that might have when I was younger felt like, oh, they're so strict or, oh, it's like this, but it's definitely built me to who I am today. And just in the way that I feel like I treat people as well. I feel like again, Nigerian ideology is very, very important to be very respectful. And I feel like that is how I try to carry myself every single day, regardless of who it is that I may meet, whether it is this person or this person, doesn't really matter. Like, I feel like I'm going to approach you in a very respectful way. And so there's other things as well, but I'm just so proud to be Nigerian. And, I never, ever let anybody, like, when I meet somebody, I'm, hi, I'm Michaela, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm Nigerian. Like, I make sure that's something that one of the things that I say, because it is a big part of who I am. And the Nigerian community has completely embraced me, from you could see that from draft night, when I was getting messages from young Nigerian kids in Nigeria, who are like, like you're an inspiration. And you don't really think those things until like you see these messages and you're like, wow, like I'm influencing people, not even, on a different continent, and so they've supported me from day one. And so I'm really, again, grateful and appreciative of that support I've received from the Nigerian community.
I love that. And I think something you mentioned there is getting those text messages from young kids and support from people is that you bring your whole self. You are Michaela, the basketball player, but you're also Michaela, the human. Yes. And so how have you been able to find and be confident in your identity outside of a basketball player? Because that is something that I think is a big conversation right now, because it can be so hard to separate your life as a basketball player and your life as a human.
I think that's like one of just an athlete's biggest struggle is sometimes you want to identify yourself so much with your sport that, good or bad, you're always going to be up and down. And I honestly can attest some of this to my college coach and my college experience. Every single day we had like journals. Corey Close is who I played for. And it would write like my value comes from who I am, not what I do. And that's like a very like, as a college student, you're like, this is so tedious. Like, why am I doing this every single day? But growing up, being now 23, I'm like, wow, like that was so important. That's such an important thing for athletes to learn is like, your value doesn't go down if you had a bad game. Like, and your value doesn't go up if you had a great game. If you dropped 45, it doesn't go up. Like that should stay very constant because your value doesn't come from what you do. Like you are Michaela and you happen to play basketball, but you also are all these different characteristics, and you shouldn't be defined by just what you can do and how many points you can put in a basket, and so that's something where I feel like at that stage of my life where, I was 18 to 21 years old, 17 to 21 years old, like that was so important to be instilled in me and my teammates, that I'm so grateful to Coach Close and all of the staff who really, really instilled that in us, that like, we want to win, obviously, like we're here to win games, but like, we're not going to love you any less if you guys don't. And if you struggle and if it's hard or if it's a great game or whatever it may be. And so that's what I can attest that to. And that, obviously in the moment I was like, this is so tedious. Like we're writing this on your journals every single day, but it was so important and such an important lesson for all athletes to know.
Absolutely. I love that. That's so, and it's like the repetition of writing it too. I'm sure you start to believe it, even if at the beginning you're like, this is silly.
Absolutely.
So what is something that people don't know about you outside of basketball that they should?
What are some things people don't know about me outside of basketball? Mm, I don't know. I love to shop. Netflix is literally what I do all the time. I've gotten into reading. I've gotten into doing Pilates.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it's been exciting to. It's a different type of workout, but it's
mhm.
exciting for sure.
And you did
What else?
yoga. Didn't you do yoga before your first game?
I did. So I feel like in college we did yoga like a little bit, and so like my first game I was so nervous, like I was like freaking out, like I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. And then I was like, let me just do yoga. Let me just try to get these nerves out. And I did it and I felt a lot better. And so that was one thing like through my rookie year, I feel like I was like, oh my God. And, I was nervous to just kind of delve into the season. And so that was
Right.
things I think I did very consistently my rookie year. I should probably
Mhm.
get back to it. It keeps your nerves calm. But I don't get as nervous with games anymore, 'cause I've had experience. But that was
Mhm.
definitely something that I did for sure.
Okay, so yoga has now transitioned into a little bit of Pilates. I like that. What are
Yes.
you binging on Netflix?
Right now, oh, okay, this is gonna sound bad, and it doesn't like it. It's gonna sound bad because of the name, but it's not that bad. It's called Lucifer. It's really a great
I've
show.
heard of
It's
it.
not
I've heard.
about what you think it's about. It's a horrible name, but it's not about what you would think it is. But I think that's a good show. I like to watch a lot of like crime, thriller,
Mhm.
drama. Like that's my thing. So I'm really big into like documentaries or
Yeah.
like thriller series or whatever it may be. But right now it's Lucifer.
Okay. And so is this what Netflix and Pilates, is that what you're doing to like de-stress and separate from basketball? Or like how do you after like so that you don't get too high or you don't get too low, like how do you stay level? What do you do for yourself outside of practice and games to keep steady?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one. Pilates is one thing I've done. It's like, me and one of my best friends. We actually like have like probably like 3 or 4 times a night. We get on like the little Apple Fitness app and we actually do the Pilates in there. And we're like, oh, you want to do Pilates tonight? Oh yeah, cool. So we'll do like 30 to 40 minute sessions like every other night or so. So that's been really cool. But
Mhm.
I think also being overseas, it gives you an experience to go out and see things you've never seen before. And
Mhm.
I was not in Salamanca last year, like I said, and so I've never been here before. So I like to go on walks and make sure that, I'm getting my steps in or whatever else and get some sun and just get outside and not, it can be easy sometimes to be overseas and be like, we're practicing all the time. Like it's game practice. Things are going really, really fast. That it's like, I just want to stay in my apartment all day. And
Mhm.
I tried to, and I did that my rookie year, honestly, I did. And I tried this year not to do that as much because I feel
Mhm.
like, I wanted to enjoy it a little bit more. And that's been one thing is just to get out, get some sunlight, you know, and whatever else, walk around, see things you've never seen before. So that's another thing I do as well.
That's awesome. You get to see a lot of really cool things, I'm sure.
You do. And Salamanca, I think is pretty. Like I honestly, I would have never went. Like I would have never been here, if it wasn't for basketball. So it's cool, to see things you've never seen that you would never probably would have seen, other
Mhm.
than basketball.
And I want to also mention that, I mean, I know that you had surgery after your rookie year for your thumb,
Yeah.
and you're now also just rehabbed another surgery. So, talk about that rehab physically and mentally and how you've been able to kind of, I don't want to use the word bounce back because I don't like that, but like, right, like, how have you been able to get back to where you want to be?
Yeah, honestly, this is 2022 has really been one of the most challenging years just for me
Mhm.
as an athlete in my career. Obviously, just there was a lot of things that went on, and one of those things was injuries. I had I had literally like 4 surgeries on my thumb in 2022. I had a knee surgery, like to fix just a little bit of cleanup as well, and so that can be hard.
Mhm.
Where I'm rehabbing for like 3, 4 months. And sometimes it can be hard to see the other side and see like the light at the end of the tunnel. But I think that's where just like that quote I said comes into play. Like my value comes from who I am, not what I do. And
Mhm.
that can even be when you're not playing. It feels like
Mhm.
I'm not playing basketball. I can't play basketball. I'm in a cast. I have surgeries and blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you can just be like, you know what? This is what happened. Everything happens for a reason. Like take some time to do other things maybe, or whatever it may be. You might not understand the reason right now, but like take some time to really relish in this moment. And so that's
Mhm.
when that really, really came into play because it was sad. Obviously, like I don't
Yeah.
want to be just sitting around. I don't want to be
Mhm.
limited from the court. I don't want to have surgery, all these surgeries, and back to back. And So it was tough, honestly. Like the off season was really tough for me. Um, but I think that just kept me afloat. And I just like thank God that like this season, this overseas season has completely like it was a tough season, but to transition into like a very rewarding overseas season has been
Mhm.
really good for me just because I don't it was just so hard, you know. I don't know what other adjective to describe. It was just very, very hard. And so to walk into a team where, you know, we had our ups and downs, but we have, you know, figured things out right now. And I really enjoy my teammates. I enjoy the city. And I wouldn't say I lost my love for basketball because I don't think anything can make me do that. But injuries can kind of like steer you a little off course, you know, a little bit. And so I'm just really happy that this overseas season was able to get me back on course and, you know, get me running and feeling like how I did, prior to my injury. And so it's tough, you know, injuries are always tough. They suck, but it's
Mhm.
just part of the game. And so as long
Mhm.
as you can keep a level-headed foundation, I think that's really, really important during those times.
So taking all of that, switching teams, having a great overseas experience for the first time, going into the season for you, Michaela, what does success look like in the 2023 season?
Success looks like embracing my role, whatever that is, in Phoenix. It looks like having a healthy season because my second year I was not healthy for probably like more than half of the season.
Yeah.
And that's hard because you have to like just push. So I'm gonna like push through it. Like I think essentially athletes are just, you know, you gotta push through it. Like it is what
Mm-hmm.
like that's just kind of how we're wired.
Yeah.
And so I want to have, you know, a very healthy season. I'm excited for my role in Phoenix because I know there has been a lot of, you know, change, but I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a lot of opportunity as well. And so, you know, that might not look like the stats, that might not look like whatever it may be, the numerical kind of numbers, but I just want to make an impact as much as I can, be excellent in my role, whatever that is, and just be very healthy, hopefully injury-free season.
That's all you can ask for. I love that. And we're seeing the league grow. And I know that, you know, in your third year, you kind of came in and saw some growth immediately in the league. And we're seeing it heading the right direction to give you guys more opportunities, to give you guys, I mean, there's talk of the expansion, which in my opinion needs to happen. um,
Guys, ASAP.
so where do you hope, like what needs to happen from your perspective for the league to continue to grow and for you guys to get the treatment and the access to what you deserve and need?
Absolutely. I think you said it. I think number one on the agenda for me, I mean, I know there's a lot of logistical things that comes with it, but if I was just speaking from,
We're
you know, a
putting those
player,
aside, logistics
yeah,
aside,
okay,
other
so no
people can handle that.
logistics. No logistics. We need more teams. There's so much talent every year that like just continues to be waived. And like you're seeing it even now. Like I just saw, you know, more recently, there's just a lot of young players that are being waived, and it's like they're not even really given a chance. And that's just because of the way the league is set up, where there's not a lot of opportunity for people to come in and, you know, get a spot. And so I think 100% that needs to be number one, like on everybody's radar. In the next few years, like there needs to be like 2, 3 more teams. And think about it, that's 36 more spots where, you know, people can come in and compete for those spots. And people want to watch women's basketball. So I don't think that the market part is hard. You know, I don't think that's the issue. It's just getting the new teams. And then I would say just the second thing is the marketability. But you saw that. I mean, there's all of these numbers and statistics, and you're seeing when people put, you know, women's basketball in front of people, they will watch. And you saw it with, you know, our WNBA season where it's like XYZ number percentage up from, you know, previous years. You saw it with the NCAA tournament when they had 9 million people watching the championship game. Like those numbers matter and they're important and they are real. Like if you put the product in front of people, people will watch. And obviously there's been this stigma about women's sports, women's basketball, whatever it may be, that nobody wants to watch. This is like a proven fact that that's not true. You know, people want to watch good sports, whether that's men or women. People want to watch it. And so as long as you make it accessible to people and easy, where I can go on ESPN and just put on a game, that makes me so much more inclined to watch games. I don't want to like have to like go to this link to then go to this link to then sign in to then do this and then do this to watch a game. Like that turns people away, where it's like I can go and turn on any NBA game for this playoff specifically and I can see whoever I want to, and I'm in Spain. So it's like it's that easy, you know? And so that should be exactly how it is for women's basketball. And I feel like as long as we get those eyes, like viewership will go up, marketability will go up, and people will really be interested because it is an exciting game. But it is growing. People, there's new players developing every single day who people want to cling on to and attach and watch. And so those two for me are the most important. I think for the WNBA to get to where it needs to be.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. You're 100% right. I always say I'm someone who loves watching women's sports. I love watching women's soccer. I love watching women's basketball. And if someone like me has a hard time finding it, then that's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm the one who's looking for it. Yes. 100%.
Yeah, the casual fan is not going to go on this TV and be like, oh, the WNBA game's on ESPN like that. It's like they're going to have to click a link to go to this, like, it's just, it makes it complicated for somebody who, if people who want to watch the game, they're going to go and find it. But like, what if you just want to put something on the TV at 8 p.m. at night? Stuff like that. It makes it harder for people to do so.
Do you think, as someone who's, closer than others to your college experience, that the NIL is helping that or hurting that?
Oh, it's helping it. Absolutely. First off, I'm so jealous because I was like a year too early, late, one of the two. I was whatever. I graduated in 2021. I think NIL came into play like maybe the summer after I graduated.
I think it was the next year, right?
Yeah, I literally was like, no way. Like the amount of money that these people are making is actually crazy. But I love it because I feel like you see like people are attaching their names to women's basketball players, to college women's basketball players. Like people are doing so. And it's like, you see even somebody like Angel Reese or somebody like Caitlin Clark, who, they had a lot of that marketability during the tournament. And, and it's because of NIL and how much money they're able to generate. And it's like, dang, if I would have just stayed a year or two.
And some people are. And some people are, which is, can't blame them.
You can. I mean, I don't think you can. I think, take the opportunity to get what you can out of college. I feel like for a lot of years that hasn't been the opportunity, college kids haven't had that upper hand at all times. And so take that opportunity. I think that's exactly what kids are doing right now. And, I love to see it. Obviously I joke and say, I wish it was me, but I'm glad that, the NCAA has, pushed that step forward and kids are monetizing from their ability. And, you see somebody, like I said, like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, who are really, really marketable. That's growing the game. Like people are really excited to watch these specific players among others, but people are really excited. Like that wouldn't, those opportunities really wouldn't happen if 9 million people wouldn't be watching the national championship game if those things weren't into play. And so I think it's definitely helping. I think it'll continue to help. I'm interested to see how it continues to capitalize. I'm interested to see how that goes. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely helped the marketability of women's sports for sure.
Yeah, it's like all ships rise, right? If
absolutely.
Angel Reese is getting $1.3 million and the base level's got to come up, right?
Exactly.
So what's your hope when you look at young girls who come to your games and look at you and say, Michaela, I want to be just like you. I want to play in the WNBA. I want to play basketball. What do you hope for them as they grow in the sport?
First and foremost, I know that, girls are more likely to drop out of sports, by the age of like high school. And so if they were to get to that point where like, I want to be, in your position, that would make me happy and smile alone. So I know that the dropout rates are so high when it comes to women. And so that would be my first, is just seeing girls stay in sports. But I think for that to happen, the resources have to be there, the support has to be there. And I think they all go hand in hand. When there's more support, when there's more resources, girls will stay. Girls will feel like, what, I can do this. I have the support behind me. I have the people behind me. I have the resources behind me to really succeed in this sport. So I think that for me is the number one goal. But it helps. It encourages me to keep fighting for, even if it's not just basketball, keep fighting for just the next step of women's sports. And we've already talked about like what the next steps are, but if they can see me doing what I'm doing, they're already a step ahead of some of where we want to be. And so that's really encouraging. And a lot of us we play this game and it's really, really serious, but when you have a girl come up to you and like, I want to be just like you, it just makes you take a moment to really pause and wonder why you do this game, or kind of realize why you play this game. And it just makes everything just kind of nostalgic to why you kind of started the game as well. And so that's always cool to have, like, little girls come up to you and be like, oh, like, I want to do this, or you're so cool, you're my favorite player. And even out here, like, I'll see girls who like I don't know the language, they don't know English, whatever it may be, but they know you're my favorite player. like, so that's just such a cool experience to feel.
I love that. Well, I have absolutely loved this conversation, Michaela. I have one final question for you. I ask everyone, on your tough days, do you have a mantra that helps you get through?
Yes, I do. I think I have two, honestly. For me, what helps me kind of settle is everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that can calm you because it's like, I don't know why it's happening right now. I don't have all the answers, but I
Mm-hmm.
know that everything happens for a reason. And then just bringing it back to my faith, like I was having, in the recent year that I've had, you have doubts, doubts kind of creep in and whatever it may be. But I feel like every time that I had those doubts creep in, I always was just like, you know what? God has your back. And I leaned on my faith. And every single time I did that, I felt like literally like the worry, whatever I was feeling just like slid off of my back. And I feel like that's just something that I come back to all the time, is just my faith. And, I might not know what's going on. I might not know why it's happening or, what the reason is, but I know that God always has my back. And that literally will just make me be like, you know what? It's above me. Like
Yeah.
like I've done all I can do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
God has my best interest and that's all I can do. And that just like is so heartwarming and so just encouraging. And it's another, I don't even know what word to describe it, but it's just such like a surreal feeling to really feel like, you know what, like somebody has my back and it's all
Mm-hmm.
gonna work out for good. And so that's like something that like when it's the bad days, the doubts creep in or whatever it may be, like that's what I fall back on.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, especially so late for you over in
Oh, of course,
Spain.
no problem.
And best of luck this season. I'm really excited to see you embrace this new role, and we'll be rooting for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on, Hannah.